we're going to start our ceremony. And Jenny Blackman, Dexter High School, will give the welcome and go on from there.
Welcome to today's Veterans Day ceremony. My name is Jenny Blackman and I'm the Dexter High School Student Body President. Please stand for the presentation of colors by Dexter Boy Scout Troop 200. Remain standing for the national anthem, the Dexter High School Band, the Pledge of Allegiance, and the invocation by Pastor Bill Warren.
Veterans, present arms.
Honor Guard, attention. Present colors. Forward, march. Ready? Halt. Post the colors.
Order. Arms.
Post the flag of the United States of America. Post the Missouri State flag. Center, face, cover. Scout, right hand salute. Ready? 2. Honor Guard, about face, forward, march.
Veterans, order, arms.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order, arms.
Would you please join me in prayer? Almighty God, we come before you this morning to give you thanks. For hundreds of years ago, men and women came to this nation in the pursuit of life, liberty, Dear God, we have fought to preserve these core values. We come today to honor those men and women who have served this nation and those values in times of peace and in times of war. Dear God, you said that greater love has no person than this, than to lay down their life for their friends. Father, many have laid down their lives for their family, their friends, their communities, and this nation. To each of those, dear God, today we want to remember and to say thank you for their service, for them, dear God, being your all. For those families, dear God, who lost those whom they love so much. May their hearts be filled with courage and peace today. Our motto is one nation under God. We believe that. We ask you, God, that you would continue to bless this nation and to protect the men and women who serve, and to bless those families, dear God, who have given their best for us. We ask now that you would bless everyone here. And I pray, dear God, that all that we do, every aspect of our life, can bring you glory. Because you, Jesus, lay down your life for your friends. In his name we pray.
We're very pleased and honored today to have as many guests on the stage as we have. Veterans, school people, this plain civilians like some of the rest of us. As I call their name, we're not going to ask them to rise or raise their hand, but certainly would slowly enough so you know who's here. Dr. Thomas Sharp, Superintendent of Schools, retired Major Roger Alsup, the Reverend Phil Warren, Lieutenant Colonel retired Cliff Manlove, Brigadier General retired Charles Cruz, Bill Moran, Commander of the American Legion Post Number 59, Sheila Alsup, American Legion Auxiliary, Katie Alsup, American Legion Auxiliary, Billy Pat Wright, our state representative, Dolores Gales, American Legion Auxiliary, Steve Rom, VFW Post Number 2659, Harry Slinger, DAV, prisoner of war in World War II, Albert Wilson, DAV, Francis Ward, Regent, Crowley's Ridge Chapter of the DAR, Dolores Bailiff, DAR, Sandy Stone, our Chief of Police, Al Bacon, our Chief of the Fire Department, Jerry Crowley, one of our city aldermen, school board members of the president today, Herman Morris is the president of the school board, Betty Kersey, vice president, Mark Lee, Kenny Pope, and Nancy Mayer. We almost have a quorum there, we could probably have a vote, possibly in the school. If you would please give all these participants a big hand. At this time, the Dexter High School band, under the directorship of Scott Michael, excuse me, will have some special music for us. Scott? presentation for the Sister Rescue Partner memorial down at the City Hall. And we'd like to ask Dolores Gibbs to take care of this. This memorial downtown was for the Vietnam War, as I understand. And one of the participants was Kenny sister, who won the Congressional Medal of Honor. Something that many people read about, but seldom have an opportunity to grow up with and associate with. We're very proud of all those people, particularly in the Vietnam War, who lost their lives. Our next presentation is one that we've done for several years. And I guess the Alsups have been primarily responsible for this. It's the American Legion Auxiliary 5th grade poster and 8th grade essay contest winners. Specialist Katie Alsup for the 1221st Transportation Company, and Sheila Alsup will be in charge of this presentation. The ladies will come forward with.
Thank you for allowing the American Legion Auxiliary to be a part of this Veterans Day celebration. The American Legion Auxiliary membership is comprised of mothers, wives, sisters, daughters, granddaughters, and grandmothers of veterans who have served in active duty during any wartime conflicts since World War I to present day. On behalf of the American Legion Auxiliary, I want to say a special thank you to our soldiers and veterans for your service to our country and all of your sacrifice. Sponsoring the poster contest is one way we have of thanking our veterans for the valuable role they play in our freedom and democracy. This year, our classroom presenter was Lieutenant Colonel Ed Vargas. He went to the classrooms to talk with the students about how Veterans Day came about and some history of the role that soldiers have played in our past and present wars. We think this is an important part of the poster contest so that the students have an idea about how they would want to honor our veterans when they make their posters. Thank you to Mrs. Bowman and the 5th grade teachers for allowing time for these presentations on what Veterans Day is about. We also want to say a thank you to the art teacher, Mrs. June Lawrence, who helps us each year and encourages participation in this project. And a special thank you to all the 5th graders who did a great job honoring our veterans with the terrific posters. We would now like to recognize a winner from each classroom. Please come up when I call your name. The winners are, from Mrs. Allen's class, Jerica Porter. From Mrs. Bolden's class, Riley Allen. From Mrs. Schmidt's class, Maddie Jacobs. From Mrs. Heatley's class, Candy Connor. From Mrs. Moore's class, Macy Martin. From Mrs. Musey's class, Bradley Langston. And from Mrs. Stone's class, Sabas Jimenez. And from Mrs. Lewis' class, we have a tie, Eric Hahn and Nate Vargas. Thanks to all who supported our project, and thanks to 5th graders for such a good job in remembering and honoring our veterans. We have sponsored the 5th grade poster contest now for several years, and beginning this year with the help of the support of Mrs. Sweeney, the 8th grade social studies teacher, and Mr. Scott Cruz, the middle school principal, we have begun sponsoring the 8th grade Americanism essay contest. From 161 essays, a committee of 6 narrowed the essays down to 28, and then down to 8 who we want to recognize as honorable mention. When I call your name, would you please stand? Kendall Adams. Paige Chastity. Seth Mauser. Haley Caldwell. Brittany Brown. Rachel Huntsman. And Kayla Ward. And our winner today will receive a $25 award from our local auxiliary, and her essay will be entered in our National Americanism Essay Contest. We are proud to introduce the winner of the essay contest, Mary Kate Miller. And she will now come through her essay.
There are many ways to show our patriotism in my community. As a citizen in our community, we can stand proud to recite the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. We can participate in supporting our troops by sending care packages to our soldiers serving in other countries. We can hang the American flag outside our homes and maintain it with dignity and respect. We can stand proud and sing along with the Star-Spangled Banner or stand in silence to honor the glory of our country. I am always proud to show my patriotism in my community by pledging allegiance to our American flag. Pledging allegiance to the flag shows that we are proud to be an American. We start our week at school by reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. It is an honor and a privilege to be able to recite the words of the pledge to honor my flag, my country, and my God. Our American flag is a beautiful symbol of patriotism. Hanging the flag outside our home symbolizes our pride in our community and our country. The colors represent the building blocks in which our country was built on. The red stands for courage, the white stands for purity, and the blue stands for perseverance, vigilance, and justice. The American flag must be maintained with dignity and respect. Our wonderful flag has 13 stripes. It also has 50 stars. Each star represents a state in our nation today. The stripes stand for the 13 original colonies. Serving in the military and sacrificing one's life for our country is the ultimate symbol of patriotism. We can support our troops by sending care packages to our men stationed around the world. I can show my patriotism and appreciation by sending them items they would enjoy. They have left family and friends to serve for our country to ensure our freedom. A little piece of home is a small way to show appreciation. Patriotism in one's community goes hand in hand with one's country. By participating in these activities, I can show why I'm proud to be an American.
I'm here to introduce our speaker this morning. He needs no introduction to this school and to this town, but we all watched him kind of grow up. Major Retired Roger Alsup. As we said before, he was born and raised in Dexter, graduated from Dexter High School in '79, joined the USAF after high school graduation. Upon completion of his Air Force obligation, he returned and joined the Missouri Army National Guard. Received a degree in 1990, became the 8th grade science teacher at TS Middle School. Promoted to assistant principal in the middle school. Also served as the assistant high school principal before becoming the middle school principal. Currently, he's the assistant superintendent of schools in Dexter, and he holds the following degrees: Associate of Arts degree, Three Rivers Community College, Poplar Bluff; Bachelor of Science degree in Secondary Education, Southeast Missouri State University; Master of Arts degree in Secondary School Administration at Southeastern Missouri State University. And he holds a doctorate in Educational Leadership at St. Louis U. You can see he is well-traveled and very highly educated. His military career highlights only a few. He completed 6 years of service in the U.S. Air Force Station at Little Rock Air Force Base in Arkansas, just down the road a piece. Received a commission from the U.S. Army Officer Candidate School in Fort Benning, Georgia in 1986. Commander of Charlie Company, 1140th Engineer Battalion in Sikeston, Missouri. Deployed to Iraq in support of Operation Iraq Freedom in June 2005. While in Iraq, he was the office or in charge of the Senior Military Engineer Officer in the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Camp Leadership in Iraq, overseeing 75 construction and reconstruction projects valued in excess of $110 million. He has a slew of medals: Bronze Star, Iraq Citation, Meritorious Service Medal, Army Commendation Medal, Air Force Commendation Medal, Army Achievement Medal, Second Award, Army Reserve Components Achievement Medal, 6 awards, National Defense Service Medal with Bronze Star, Iraq Campaign Medal in Iraq, and Global War on Terrorism Service Medal for service in Iraq. And I think I would mention the fact that his daughter, who presented an award today, had just come back from Iraq or Afghanistan, and she had 3 or 4 firefights the last 4 days she was there before she came in, so it is hot in those areas. We need to really appreciate these people. With that said, retired Major Roger Alsup.
I'm very happy to have this beautiful facility that allows all of our students to join us here today and honor those who serve. Like Major Roger said, I joined the Air Force in 1979 when I graduated from high school. Before I joined the Air Force, I was having trouble deciding between the Air Force and the Navy. Because I wanted to do something different. I wanted to do something that would impress my friends. I know that wasn't a very good motivation, but that's the truth. I talked to the Navy recruiter, and then I remember going into the Air Force recruiter's office, and he looked me up in the eye and he said, "Son, if you join the Air Force, you're going to have an opportunity to be around some of the most sophisticated military equipment in the world." Well, that sounded like something that would impress my friends, so the Air Force it was. In June of 1979, I went to San Antonio, Texas for basic training, and it didn't take long for the Air Force to introduce me to the sophisticated military equipment my recruiter told me about. It was a floor buffer. You know what that is? But believe it or not, I was excited to have the opportunity to actually learn how to use the buffer. And I remember, learning. I was buffing the floors. I was thinking, man, I wish my friends could see me doing this. This is kind of cool. And I kind of thought they might be impressed by that. I realized a few years later that the Air Force recruiter might not have been totally straight with me because I found out that the Navy had floor buffers too. That's okay. Joining the Air Force was a great decision for me. My time in the military, my training, the many people I got to serve with, all had a big influence on my life and provided some amazing opportunities for a kid from Dexter. I remember when I was in Iraq flying across the Al Desert at night in a Marine helicopter on my way to Al-Assad Air Base, which was near the Syrian border. I have to admit I was a little bit nervous, but I remember sitting in that helicopter thinking, I can't believe I'm on board this helicopter flying across the Al-Anbar province in Iraq. While I was in Iraq, I got to brief the commander of multinational forces in Iraq, General George Casey. Fallujah was one of the key post-battle cities in Iraq, so General Casey closely monitored our reconstruction efforts. When it came to Fallujah, to get an update on our reconstruction efforts, I began my briefing by telling him that I was with the Missouri Army National Guard because I wanted General Casey to know that the Missouri Army National Guard was in the fight. I became General Casey's go-to guy in Fallujah for reconstruction. Every couple of weeks, I provided him with updates on our progress. During the briefing, I told him we needed to build a water purification plant in northwest Fallujah. He asked me about how much money it was going to cost. I said, well, it's going to cost about $2 million. Later that day, I had the money. I guess I probably should have asked him for a promotion while I was at it. I also got to represent the United States of America and coalition forces in provincial meetings with engineers and contractors. That's pretty cool. The interaction with something like, and this was in Arabic and English, and representing the United States and the coalition forces, Major Roger Alsup. I remember saying to myself, this kid from Dexter, Missouri, is in a meeting representing the United States. Who gets to do that? I had to think about it. Savor that moment. Kind of reminded me of the time I was running the floor buffer in basic training. Right up there with that. Pretty cool. And I don't say these things to brag about what I've done. I want you to know that I've been fortunate to have opportunities because of my military service. And every veteran in this room tell you stories just like me about their time in the military. Back in April, our community got to show our gratitude to a group of World War II veterans during a send-off ceremony in Washington, D.C. to see the World War II memorial. Dexter stepped up to the plate and gave those men the recognition they deserved. The way you honored those men honored all veterans. I was very proud of my hometown. I'd like to close by telling you about 3 veterans. Petty Officer First Class Regina Clark. When I first got to Camp Fallujah, I was assigned to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Area Office, along with members of the Naval Construction Regiment Detachment 30, the Seabees, from Port Cunini, California. Petty Officer First Class Clark was a member of that CB unit, but she was not assigned to the Corps of Engineers. However, the CBs in my office knew Petty Officer Clark, and she had actually been in the office at least one time that I remember while I was there. After the Battle of Fallujah, access into the city was tightly controlled. All entry into and out of the city had to go through entry control points around Fallujah. At the entry control points, the Marines and the Iraqi Army checked badges and searched people and vehicles. And this was a city of about 200,000 people, and they only had about 4 entry control points, so you can imagine what that would be like. It's challenging even for a city the size of Dexter. The Iraqis did not like their women being searched. However, they realized that we're going to do that, and we knew that we were going to have some females conducting the search. The problem, the entry control points were manned by Marine combat units in the Iraqi armies, and there were no women assigned to those units. So the Marine asked the Navy Seabees at Camp Fallujah if they would provide female volunteers to search for females at the entry control points. Several of the female Seabees volunteered, including Petty Officer Clark. On June 23, 2005, Petty Officer Clark was in a convoy heading back to Camp Fallujah after her shift at Entry Control Point 1, when the truck she was in was hit by a vehicle-borne improvised explosive device. The Petty Officer Clark died in that attack. Petty Officer Clark and other women were all aware of how dangerous this was, but they also were aware of the importance of this mission. The burn mark on the road from the explosion was there the entire time I was in Iraq, and each time I went into the city of Fallujah through Entry Patrol 101, I went past the place where Petty Officer Clark died, and each time I saw that burn mark, I was reminded of her prayer. First Lieutenant George K. Sisler. Lieutenant Sisler was a member of the 5th Special Forces Group in the Republic of Vietnam. On February 7, 1967, Lieutenant Sisler was the platoon leader and advisor to a special United States Vietnam exploitation force. While on patrol deep within enemy-dominated territory, Lieutenant Sisler's platoon was attacked from 3 sides by a company-sized enemy force. Lieutenant Sisler quickly rallied his men and called for airstrikes. Learning that 2 men had been wounded and were unable to pull back into the perimeter, Lieutenant Sisler charged from his position into intense enemy fire to assist the 2 wounded men. He reached the men and began carrying one of them back to the perimeter when the enemy began even more intensive automatic weapons firing. Laying down the wounded man, Lieutenant Sisler killed 3 enemy soldiers and took out an enemy machine gun with a grenade. When he got the wounded man within the perimeter, the left flank of their position came under an extremely heavy attack, and several other men from his platoon were wounded. Realizing the seriousness of the situation, Lieutenant Sisler charged single-handedly into the enemy attack, firing his weapon and throwing grenades to prevent his position from being overrun. His heroic actions forced the enemy to withdraw. Despite the continuing enemy fire, Lieutenant Sisler kept moving around the battlefield, encouraging his men and directing airstrikes. Lieutenant Sisler was eventually killed in this battle. First Lieutenant George K. Sisler received the nation's highest reward, the Medal of Honor, for his actions that day on the battlefield. George K. Sisler was a graduate of Dexter High School, and the statue is in front of the Dexter Library. Finally, Marine Sergeant Dakota Meyer. Sergeant Meyer is the most recent recipient of the Medal of Honor. On September 8, 2009, Sergeant Meyer learned that 3 U.S. Marines and a U.S. Navy corpsman were missing after being ambushed by a group of insurgents in a village in Afghanistan. Outgunned and outnumbered, Sergeant Meyer drove a Humvee into the village in an attempt to rescue the 4 U.S. service members. Leaving his vehicle numerous times, even after receiving shrapnel wounds, Sergeant Meyer reached the floor only to find that they had died in fighting. However, during his search, Sergeant Meyer personally evacuated 12 friendly wounded and provided cover for another 24 Marines and soldiers so they could escape the ambush. When Sergeant Meyer received his Medal of Honor from President Obama, he requested that his fallen colleagues be remembered. First Lieutenant Michael Johnson, Gunnery Sergeant Edwin Johnson, Staff Sergeant Aaron Keefe, Hospitalman 3rd Class James Layton, and Sergeant 1st Class Kenneth Westbrook. We salute you. If you were to ask me what a hero looks like, I would tell you a hero looks like Petty Officer 1st Class Regina Carter, First Lieutenant George K. Sisler, and Sergeant Dakota Meyer. As we honor our veterans from the greatest generation to the latest generation, let us never forget the debt we as a nation owe those who served. God bless you for being here today. God bless the veterans, and God bless America.
Very good presentation, and certainly appreciate your service to our country. As a postscript to this Veterans Day ceremony, over the many years, 42 million men and women served in our armed forces. Many have seen combat, many have been killed, many have been wounded, many are present today. I'm able to thank the veteran for his or her service to this country. I would encourage everyone to do that when the opportunity presents itself. Many of the young people here today will consider or should consider possibilities of military service in the future. It is certainly something to ponder. This concludes our service. If you will all rise, we're going to ask the band to sound taps as we conclude this program.